In my last video, I was analyzing a terrible beginner program, but I didn't want to just shit on the program for half an hour without providing any better alternative. So that is why in the end of the video, I told you to stay tuned for a little surprise, which is going to come in the next video, which is now. And the surprise is a free beginner program. This is the first Viking strength program. First, I'm going to tell you how to run the program, because without that, you won't understand the program itself. And then afterwards, I'm going to run you through the entire program, show you everything, explain everything. And then after that, I will even have a couple of modifications that you can make to the program. So first of all, only run this program if you're a beginner. I think that's pretty obvious by saying that it's a beginner program, but just in case I want to say it, if you're not a beginner, don't run this program. If you're an intermediate, don't run this program. Do an intermediate program. Even better, write your own. You will have to track your weights, sets, and reps for each exercise on this program. You can do it in a logbook, in your phone, in an app. It really doesn't matter, but in some shape or fashion, you will have to track your progress so you know that you're actually progressing. And I also recommend you to take measurements at least once every month, but you can also take every 2 weeks, because the logbook by itself is not enough. This is not a powerlifting program, so the goal is not to increase our weights on the exercises. Our goal is to increase the size of our arms, legs, whatever, and that's why you need to measure those. I think a lot of people go into this sort of mindset that they know that they should measure their progress in some way, but they don't measure what they are really trying to get when it comes to hypertrophy. When it comes to powerlifting or weightlifting or all of that, obviously the goal is to lift bigger weights. And that's why it makes a lot of sense to track your weights. And it also makes sense for hypertrophy training, but alone it doesn't really tell you much. And also it's not the direct thing that you want to be measuring, because what you're trying to get is bigger muscles. The entire program is written in supersets, which means that you do the first exercise, and then without resting, you immediately do the second exercise, and then you rest. And that was one set of each exercise. And then after the rest, you repeat the whole thing again. This saves a lot of time, and this will make you not have to spend 2 hours in the gym. I try to write the program in a way that the supersets actually make sense, and then most people in most gyms are going to be able to do them. But if you're not able to do a superset because, I don't know, the two equipments are too far away from each other and you're worried that somebody is going to take it, or you just don't want to take up equipment, obviously you can do the two sets separately. So you can just do the first exercise and then do the second exercise and not superset the two. But I recommend you to superset basically everything that you can, and only do this for the exercises that you absolutely cannot superset. Now, when you look at the program, you will see things like 3 times 8 to 12. What does that mean? Well, the entire program has rep ranges on every single exercise, which means the following. The first number, for example, 3 sets of 8 to 12, the 3 means that you're going to do 3 sets. And then the range after that, the 8 to 12, is going to mean that on each set that you will do, you will have to do at least 8 reps and at max 12 reps. For example, on the first set, you get 10, on the second, you get 9, on the third, you get 8. That's good. And when you hit the top of the rep range on the first set, which in this case is 12, so if you hit 12 reps on the first set, that means that the next time when you're going to do the exercise, you're going to go up in weight. So let's say you're doing some exercise with 10 kilograms, and with the 10 kilograms, you get 12 on the first set, 11 on the second, and then 10 on the third. Next week, you're going to be doing 11 kilograms, and chances are you're going to get something like 10-9-8 or 9-8-8 or something like that. And then you keep doing that weight again until you get the first set up to 12 reps, and then you increase the weight again. If a certain rep range doesn't work for you in a certain exercise because, I don't know, the increments are too big in your gym, for example, if your dumbbells in the gym only go up by 5 pounds, or if you're doing cable lateral raises, for example, it is really difficult to increase the weight there, obviously, because the increments are so big. So in those cases, if the rep range that I wrote in the program is not enough for you, you can either just spend more time with the same weight and try to get let's say the top of the rep range on every single set, or just perfect your technique or whatever, or you can just simply widen the rep range. For example, cable lateral raises in my gym, the increments are huge, so my rep range there is 8 to 18, because I know that when I get to 18, if I increase the weight, then I can get 8, and I don't really want to go below that. But obviously when you widen one of these rep ranges, do it reasonably, but again, chances are for most of them you will not need to widen it. When you look at the program, the first thing that you see is the first exercise is 2 exercises. So what the hell is going on there? You can choose. With every single exercise slot, you can choose your exercise that you like. I included exercises that you can choose from, but you do not need to do all of them. So for an example, day 1, it starts off with high bar squat / front squat. You do not need to do both a high bar and a front squat. You just need to do one. You pick one and then you're going to do that, but only that. You're not allowed to switch it out. You pick one and then you're going to stick with it for the long run. And you're not allowed to change the exercises for at least 6 months. Run the program with the exercises that you chose on day 1 for at least half a year. The only exception to that is if an exercise causes pain that is not from bad form or bad mobility or something like that, that would be your fault. If it is just an exercise that simply doesn't work well for you. And even if that happens, obviously only change that one exercise that causes the pain, not all of the other ones. After you've run the program with the same exercises for at least 6 months, you can try to change to the other exercises, but you don't have to. However, I recommend it if you're feeling a little bit achy, or you feel like overuse is starting to get to you, or if you feel beaten up like on a certain movement or multiple movements. But again, if one movement, for example, feels perfectly fine, there is really no need to change it out. And how long should you run the program? Well, when you run into a program-induced plateau, which means that it's not because of shit sleep or bad diet or just, I don't know, bad lifestyle, stress, whatever. You weren't skipping sessions, everything was on point. The plateau occurred not because of you did something wrong, but because simply what you're doing is no longer working. And how I define that in this case is no progress at all on an exercise for 4 weeks straight. Like not even a single rep. If you can not add a single rep on your 3 sets, let's say, for 3 weeks in a row, but on the 4th week, you can add 1 single rep on, let's say, your first set, then you've progressed. So there's no need to change. When you don't make any progress for an exercise for 4 weeks in a row, and it's not because of your fault, you can start tinkering with the program, playing around a little bit, changing things, or you can also just switch the program entirely to an intermediate program, or you can also just write your own, which is, by the way, what I recommend. You're going to make mistakes, but you're going to at least learn in the long run how to program. Now let's look at the program. The program has 3 days and it is a full body split. You cannot run the 3 days in a row, obviously. You cannot run 2 days in a row either. You will have to have at least 1 rest day between all of your exercising days. So for an example, you can do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you can do Monday, Thursday, Saturday, whatever you like, but you cannot do 2 sessions back to back. All of the days are full body, but there is still a little bit of focus on each day. So the first day is going to be mainly quad focused, and actually not just quads, it's just overall going to be lower body focused. The first exercise is going to be either a high bar squat or a front squat. You can choose, and you're going to do 3 sets of either 6 to 10 or 8 to 10. You can also choose the rep range. If you choose the wider rep range, so 6 to 10, chances are what is going to happen is you're going to, let's say, do, I don't know, 185, and then you're going to get that up to 10 reps, and then you're going to put on 10 pounds instead of just 5, and then you're going to go back to like 6 or 7 reps. If you choose the rep range that is not as wide, chances are you're going to be adding, in at least the first couple of weeks or months, 5 pounds to your lift every single time. With this, we're going to superset either a single leg standing calf raise or any other standing calf raise. The reason why I put single leg standing calf raise here is because it's the easiest to superset with anything, literally. So you can just put down 2 plates on the ground on top of each other. You can stand on the plates. Please do not do calf raises from the floor because you do not get the stretch. But again, if you just stack 2 plates on top by the side of the squat rack where you're doing your squats, after your squats, you can just literally do a set of calf raises for each leg, and then you rest a bit, and then you get back into your squats. If you find anything that's near that you like a little bit more that you can do calf raises on, that you would like to do instead, you can do that. All I request from you is do not do a seated calf raise because I personally think that it's a garbage exercise. I like the standing variations a lot more, and I think they're a lot better for your calf development. The second superset is going to be either a good morning or a back extension. Here you see some weird fuckery with the rep range. So here you cannot choose. What this means is if you choose the good morning, so the first exercise, you're going to be doing 2 sets of 10 to 15. But if you choose the back extension, so the second exercise, then you're going to be doing 2 sets of 8 to 12. So the first exercise has the first rep range, second has the second rep range, but that's also written here inside the program. How you do the good morning is up to you. It can be high bar, low bar, you can also do it with an SSB. And the back extension, you might not have to weight it first, but eventually you will have to weight it, and you can grab just the barbell and you can either put it on your back up here where you would put it normally when you would do a squat, or you can also just hold it in your hands. And you're going to superset these with hammer curls or incline hammer curls, 2 sets of 8 to 12. Then our third superset is going to be a low incline dumbbell bench press or dips, 3 sets of 8 to 12. When I say low incline here, I mean you have the adjustable bench and you have flat, and then one above that is a low incline, or maybe 2. It depends on how big the increments are. If you can choose between a lot of angles, you can probably go up like 2 as well. Also, if you want a little bit more upper chest, but you're a beginner, so you don't really need to worry about that. So basically flat, you go up 1 and then you're good. But if you choose the dips instead, when you can do 12 dips, you will have to weight it afterwards. You can, maybe your gym has a weight vest, or even better, a weight belt, and then you will have to weight it just like any other movement and use the rep range to progress. And we're going to superset this with neck extensions. Yes, this program has neck work in the program. It's going to be 3 or 4 sets of 15 to 20. You can choose if you really want to focus on your neck or not. If you want a bit more volume, you can do 4 sets. If not, then you can do 3. The neck is one of the most important muscle groups in your physique and one of the most aesthetic, and it helps you a lot in looking a lot bigger. So I highly recommend that you do not fucking skip this. There is a reason why it's in the program. And when it comes to looking stupid at the gym, first of all, like even if you're doing it with the neck flex, which you're probably not going to do yet because you probably don't have it. I do have it. Sometimes people look at you, usually they don't care. And then if you're not even doing it with that, if you're just lying on a bench and you put like a plate on your head and you do it like that, nobody gives a shit. And even if they do, it's like old, like 50-year-old women looking at you. Like, who gives a shit? And then also, what would you rather want? Do you want to look stupid in the gym for literally like 3 minutes while you're doing your neck curls, or look stupid all of the other 23 hours of the day, every single day, because you have a weak, skinny, tiny neck? Fourth superset is going to be close grip, neutral grip pull-up. I was finally able to say it. Or chin-ups, or if you cannot do pull-ups, I highly recommend that you just do the exercises with negatives. So you just jump up and then you slowly descend, because eventually you will have to learn how to do pull-ups anyways, because they're just simply superior to a lat pull-down. They're way better than a lat pull-down. But while you cannot do pull-ups, or maybe you can only do like 1-2 reps, you go and practice that. You do this for like a couple of sets, but that is generally not going to be enough volume. So by the side of that, you can do a close grip, neutral grip lat pull down as well. And the rep range is 3 sets of 6 to 10. And you're supersetting this with dual rope push down, or V-bar push down, or straight bar push down, 2 sets of 8 to 12. After this, we have the last superset of the day, and this is, by the way, the longest day. All of the other days only have 4 supersets. And that last superset is going to be a lying leg raise, where you can put a dumbbell between your feet if it's not hard enough for you, which in the long run is probably not going to be hard enough. And you can weight the exercise like that, or you can also in the beginning put on ankle weights, but in the long run you will have to use a dumbbell between your feet. Just don't drop it on yourself, obviously, but you also do not have to go up all the way. You can just go up like up to here, and that's going to be enough. Like between here and here, nothing happens. Or you can also do ab wheel rollouts, but since it's kind of hard to weight that, obviously, after a while, it's not going to be tough enough for you. So when you can do 12 reps of that, you just need to change it. So this is another place where I allow you to eventually change the exercise. If you start out with every rollout and then eventually you will get up to 3 sets of 12, then you can change the exercise to the other one. And the rep range is 3 sets of 8 to 12 for both. After that, we have a Powell raise or a Y raise in a superset with the ab work. This is going to be for the rear delts. And here again, you can choose the rep range. It can be either a 3 sets of 8 to 12 or a 10 to 15. You decide. Then we're moving on to day number 2, which is going to be a shoulders and arms focused day. We're starting off with barbell overhead press or seated dumbbell overhead press without back support. So that means there's no back support here. You're just simply sitting on a flat bench, and then you do it like this. You have nothing to lean against, so if you lean back, you're just going to fall back. Or a behind the neck press inside the Smith machine. And obviously you will going to be doing that seated. And there's going to be 3 sets of 6 to 10, and you can superset this with, well, you not only can, but you have to superset this with either preacher curl or incline curl or Bayesian cable curl. 3 sets of 8 to 12. You can choose here again, whichever you like the most. Then as the second superset, as the first part of it, we're going to have a unique slot, because here you still can choose between the exercises, but I highly recommend the first one, which is why I wrote it with capital letters, Smith JM press. The Smith JM press doesn't really sit well with everybody, and that's the reason why I still gave an alternative, so that if you really do not like it, you can do the other thing. And because I wanted to give you the freedom of being able to choose, but I really do not want you to choose. The Smith JM press is one of the best tricep exercises on the planet, and if you start doing it early on, it's going to be great. Your triceps are going to be huge, and also it's a bulletproofing exercise. If you start doing it and you do it from the beginning of your training journey and you slowly build it up, you're probably never going to have any problem with your elbows on any of your pushing movements or tricep movements, which is great. It's going to be very important later on, because while your elbows might not get targeted yet on your tricep movements, later it might become a problem. So why not prevent that and do the Smith JM press? Now, if you start doing this movement, how I recommend you to do it is you first start off just with the bar. I do not care how strong you are, because you will need a lot of elbow strength for this exercise to do it without getting an injury. And then you can add 2.5, maybe 5 pounds every single week to it. So start off with the Smith JM press here. Do it for a couple of weeks. Try what it feels like. Try building up to a weight slowly that is actually going to challenge you. And then if you still really don't like it, and you really feel like you hate the fucking exercise and it doesn't sit well with you and you don't want to do it, then instead of that, you can do either a V-bar push down or a straight bar push down. But if you chose one of these on the first day, please do not do the same. So if you chose, for example, straight bar push down, then do a V-bar. Or if the best option would be to choose a duo push down on the first day, if you are going to do a V-bar or a straight bar here. And again, you can choose the rep range. you're going to do 2 sets of either 8 to 12 or 6 to 10. And we're supersetting this again with calf work. Standing single leg calf raise again, because it's super easy to superset with anything. Or you can also do a standing Smith calf raise if you're already in the Smith machine. Although for that you would have to move the bench all the fucking time, but who cares. Or you can also do a standing calf raise machine if it's somewhere nearby and you want to do that. And you're going to do 2 sets of 15 to 20. Third superset is going to be chest supported dumbbell shrug or trap bar shrug or power shrug. I recommend you the most to do the power shrug with a trap bar. And you're going to be doing 3 sets of 6 to 10. And you're supersetting that with neck work again, but this time we're not doing neck extension, rather we're doing neck curls, 3 or 4 sets of 15 to 20. And the last superset of this day is going to be some ab work again and some forearm work. You can choose between sit-ups, lying leg raises or ab wheel rollouts. If you do sit-ups, obviously do them weighted when you can do them weighted. And 3 sets of 8 to 12, and then you superset this with either finger curl on the bench. So you put your arm on the bench like this, and then you do finger curls. I will put a video of myself doing it here. Or you can do preacher, hammer curl, or a reverse grip curl with an easy bar or barbell, whichever you find better, or a pronation twist. 3 sets of 8 to 12. Do not skip this. There are literally 3 sets of forearm work in the entire program just to get you used to doing forearms. Realistically, this is not what is going to give you Popeye forearms. This is going to give you the habit. So do not skip it. And if you notice that you're skipping this shit, just put it somewhere earlier in the workout. And then we're moving on to day number 3, which is going to be a chest and then a hip hinge focused day. First, we're starting off with either paused bench press or Smith machine bench press, or if you have one, camber bar bench press. 3 sets of 6 to 10. This is going to be your main chest pressing movement of the week. And then we're supersetting this, if you're already on the bench, with either a croc row or a dumbbell row. A croc row is going to hit your traps more. Dumbbell row is going to be more lat focused. 3 sets of 8 to 12. After this, we have the second superset, which is going to be barbell RDL or dumbbell RDL. Here, if you choose the dumbbell RDLs, if you end up eventually maxing out the stack, because it's realistically not that difficult, then you can graduate on to a barbell afterwards. 2 sets of 6 to 10, and you're supersetting this with, again, calf work. There's calf work every single day because everybody has shit calves, so we're going to work on that. Single leg standing calf raise, again, or any other standing calf raise that you like. I literally just want you to do calf work with extended knees. So not bent. So not some fucking shitty seated calf raise machine. But other than that, you do whatever you want. Just do something with extended legs for your calves. That's not just on the floor. That actually gives you a stretch. And here we've already done both rep ranges, so here you can choose whichever you want, 2 sets of 10 to 15 or 15 to 20. Then we have the third superset, quad work, bat squat or hack squat, or if your gym has one, pendulum squat. If your gym has one, you're lucky, fuck you. Or Smith machine squat. Obviously do it with a quad focus technique. You can search that up. And 3 sets of either 8 to 12 or 6 to 10. You choose. And then you superset that with preacher curl or incline curl or Bayesian cable curl. 3 sets of 6 to 10. Realistically, you can choose the same, because as you can see, like, this exercise slot is exactly the same for the biceps as it was the previous day on day 2. You can choose the same exercise. It is probably going to be a bit better if you choose a different one too. But if you really just like that one and you feel like you don't like the other ones or whatever, just choose that one. It really doesn't matter that much. You're still a beginner. You're not going to really get a lot of overuse from that. So you can choose the same exercise on both days. And our last superset is, oh wait, did I say that this is a 3 sets of 6 to 10? I think, yeah. Last superset of the day is cable tricep extension. You can either do single rope from above. So it is coming from behind you, from above, and then you lean forward and you do it with a single rope, or you can also do it just being completely upright and it's coming from below, and then you're going to do it with 2 ropes. If you have elbow problems, try this, because this is like my favorite extension, tricep extension that's overhead, because it's so good on your elbows. Like literally, this is probably the exercise that uses the least weight and therefore puts the least stress on your elbows, and it's great. It feels great. And here you can again choose 3 sets of either 6 to 10 or 8 to 12, and then you're supersetting this with cable lateral raises or dumbbell lateral raises. I recommend the cable a little bit more. You're also already in the cable station, so why not use it? 3 sets of 10 to 15. And that was the program. Now let's look at a couple of modifications that you can do. First of all, instead of doing 3 sets of quad work on the first and the third day, you can do 2 sets on both of those days and add 2 sets of quad work on the middle day. So 2 sets on each day, and in the middle day, I want you to do some sort of single leg variation. The one that I recommend you to do the most is going to be a Bulgarian split squat on the Smith machine. And here you can bias either your glutes or your quads. You decide which one you care about more, and I personally recommend a 6 to 10 on the rep range because it's a really shitty movement and it sucks to do high reps on it. But if you can handle it and you're a masochistic person and you like suffering, by all means do an 8 to 12. Second modification, when it comes to the neck work, if you care about your neck and you don't just do it because I told you to do it, but you actually want it to get really big and you want the training to be very effective, you can do the 4 sets on each day, but you can actually split it up and not just do neck curls on one day, 4 sets, and then neck extension, 4 sets on the other day. You can actually do 2 sets of neck curls, then 2 sets of neck extensions on one day, and then on the other day, do the same thing again. This is going to be way better, but I know that most people are going to do the 3 sets anyways, and they're maybe not even going to do that, and I didn't want to make the program too confusing, but you can also do this with 3 sets. So realistically, you can do 1 set of extensions and then 2 sets of curls, and then the other day you just switch it around. Third modification, you can add 3 sets of hip thrust or abduction machine, or 2 sets of Jefferson curls on day 2. The hip thrust or abduction machine is obviously going to be for the people who really want to grow their glutes, and if you're the kind of guy who wants to work a little bit on flexibility and who also wants a huge fucking back and who wants to start doing another bulletproofing exercise besides the JM press, which is going to bulletproof your elbows, this is going to bulletproof your lower back. Jefferson curl. It doesn't look good, obviously, and it's not dangerous. So don't come with the, it's dangerous, blah, blah, you can't do that with your lower back. No, you can, but you will have to build it up. So if you decide to do the Jefferson curl here, literally the max that you can start off with is 5 pounds. I'm not kidding. It will not be intense. You won't even feel it, but I do not care how strong you are. Start off with max 5 pounds, and then you can increase the weight by 2.5 pounds at the very max every single week and slowly build it up, because obviously your lower back is a very delicate area that can easily get injured if you don't do things properly. Now this will bulletproof you from getting injuries from other exercises, but only if you do it correctly and you slowly build it up, and not if you just force all of the weight on it. That is exactly what is actually going to get you injured. So if you decide to do this, go slow on it. And again, only 2 sets if you're doing the Jefferson curl. And then the last modification, on day number 3, you can put the bicep exercise that is you would normally superset with the quads. If you don't want to do it with the quads, you can also just put it into a giant set with the last superset basically. So you can just do the tricep exercise and then maybe the bicep exercise and then the side delt exercise or anything like that. The order in this case really doesn't matter, whichever you want to prioritize more. And that would be the same as a superset except with 3 exercises. So you do exercise number 1, then you don't rest, exercise number 2, don't rest, exercise number 3, and then you rest, and then you do it again. Now, what if you're a woman? Can you run this program if you're a woman? Yes. Can you run the program as it is? Yes. Do I recommend it? No. It just really doesn't make a lot of sense because there's quite a lot of volume for the upper body that you will just not progress better from. Like, you can literally just do a little bit less and get the same amount of progress from it. Like, more is not going to always give you better gains. And women generally, when you look at them compared to guys, they're going to have most of their mass in the lower bodies and a lot less in their upper bodies compared to men. So that's why randomly hammering the upper body with a bunch of exercises is not really going to do anything. And then also, most women don't really care about it anyways. But even if you do, again, you don't need to do the same amount of volume as you would do if you were a man, because it's not going to do anything. So you can do the same amount of volume on the lower body. That's perfectly fine. That's actually going to be good. I recommend that, but do not add more. Don't add more. You do not need more than this. Even if you want to maximize your thighs and your glutes, do not add more. More is not always better, except for the modification that I talked about before with doing the single leg movement, the Bulgarian split squat on the third day, which is actually not adding more, it's just splitting the volume that you're already doing for quads into more exercises. If you want to focus on your glutes a lot, I actually recommend that, and obviously do it with glute bias techniques. So you're going to want to lean a little bit more forward. And you're also going to want to put your feet a bit more forward. You can also add, instead of a Bulgarian split squat, something like a step up. And then the other mod, when you're actually adding something to the program, is the 3 sets of either hip thrust or abduction machine in the second day. That is again something that you can do if you want to. You don't have to do, because even without that, you're going to probably get like 98% or 97% of your glute gains. But if you just want to make sure, you can add that. Then you can take away a set from each upper body exercise, because you don't need to do the same amount. And when it comes to arms, for example, you can just condense it. Instead of doing it 3 times and just doing 1 set 3 times a week, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. So instead of that, you can just do 2 sets twice a week for triceps, and then for biceps, you can also do 2 sets twice a week, or you can do 3 sets on one day and then 2 sets on another day, and then not do anything on the third day. In terms of muscle groups that you might not want to really get big, because it doesn't really, it doesn't look that good on women, I guess. But I mean, you have to decide if you think that it looks good for you. Neck and traps. If you do not want them to get big, I completely understand that. I still recommend you to do at least like 1 set for each. In terms of neck, because you're going to have the front and the back of the neck too. So you can literally just do 2 sets of neck work and 1 set of shrug work per week because of the benefits. Like, you're not really going to get a lot bigger neck and traps from that, obviously, and you're going to plateau pretty early, but it really helps a lot with, for example, not feeling trashed in your neck after sleeping a little bit in like a funny position or something. Also, I've heard that it can help you in a car crash to survive. I don't know if it's true. I think maybe, yeah. I don't really care, but at least the not sleeping away your neck, I think that's enough benefit already for you to do literally 2 sets of neck work a week. 1 set of extension, 1 set of curls, and then you can also do 1 set of shrugs. But if you do not want to do any of this, I understand, then you can just skip it altogether. But if you decide to skip the shrugs completely, so the trap work, then do not take away 1 set from the other back exercises. So the back exercises that you're doing on day 1, your pull-up or lat pull-down variation, for you it's probably going to be a lat pull-down. And then on day number 3, the dumbbell row or croc row, do 3 sets on each of those as it is originally written in the program if you're going to skip the trap work completely. And if you want to focus on glutes, on day number 1, instead of the high bar squat or front squat, you can do a low bar squat. And that was the program. So if you're a beginner and you were searching for a program, now you have one. So next time when you go into the gym, you can just start doing this. You do not have to build a base or anything like that to start hypertrophy training. You can just start doing it straight away and you're going to get much better muscle gains. Trust me, like I went through all of that. You can also watch the video that I made about it somewhere over here in the corner. And then also click here to watch my last video.